You wanted disclosure? I'm a whistleblower recently retired from the inside. This viral post claims to reveal the future of the UFO debate, shifting the focus from sightings to societal collapse. Welcome back, guys. Another episode of The Briefing. Thank you to all the new subscribers. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. Around here, we pull at all the hidden threads, testimony, history, and evidence most people never even hear about. A few days ago, the UFO community went wild over a single post on Reddit. A user claiming to be a recently retired insider, a whistleblower, decided to give us the disclosure we've been begging for. But this wasn't the standard crash saucer story. This was something far more ambitious and honestly, far more terrifying. The whistleblower, operating under the assumption of anonymity, argued that the biggest secret isn't if they're here, but why we were lied to. And the answer, according to them, is not a technological gap, but a societal one. They paint a picture where the US government became paralyzed, not by advanced propulsion, but by the fear of space communism, a civilization so advanced it had solved scarcity and rendered our capitalist structure obsolete. So is this a real deal, a massive LARP, or maybe a controlled leak? We're going to dive deep into the specific claims of this post, from the hostile Rhea species to the human colony that is 5,000 years ahead of us. Let's break down why this new fun UFO LARP is the most compelling piece of fiction or fact we've seen all year. And I'll leave a link to the post so you can read it also, which Reddit has since banned, stating the claims cannot be verified. I mean, like, really? Can any of the stories be verified? Can the film Age of Disclosure be verified? The OP, going by Rhea, states that there is a separated human colony. The experiment was that there was roughly 65,000 humans who were removed from Earth about 65,000 years ago by the Council, a group of advanced civilizations, as part of a grand experiment, and that they were relocated to a planet around the star 82 Iridium, nicknamed the 𝐟𝐸𝐪, and placed in a controlled non-scarcity environment with automatic systems to meet all their basic needs: food, clothing, shelter. And the result, without the pressure of scarcity, money, and ownership, the 𝐟𝐸𝐪 developed technologically and socially around 5,000 years faster than humans on Earth. The existence of the 𝐟𝐸𝐪s was hidden by Cold War officials because their moneyless, scarcity-free society was viewed as a terrifying advertisement for space communism, posing an existential political threat to capitalism. These 𝐟𝐸𝐪s now visit Earth, and the aliens that appear almost exactly human are actually these highly advanced cousins, which is all interesting. I recall this from JRE.
Is that one possibility that could be going on is there is I think we're taking in some of Graham Hancock stuff too. If people were around on Earth 500,000 years ago, in some way, there was some split and a second set of humans continued on, and we're like in this interdimension space where they're both happening simultaneously. And that's where, like, if
he was saying this?
No. This is from I'm gathering this all from like that video. I'm adding in some of Graham Hancock stuff too, because this kid also interviewed him, Jesse Michaels, on his podcast, and they're talking about some of the same stuff. But something they said in the Grush interview on his podcast was that an idea would be that these people exist on like a split timeline from us. Like, we had cataclysms and died and repopulated and whatnot. Now we've ended in this place in 2023 with combustion engines, and we're flying around. These people would have been in a different anti-gravity. Who knows what they figured out.
And they went somewhere else?
He goes on to make the claim of Rhea species, and the year 2027 is a central ticking clock for the entire post. So OP claims a hostile alien species, the Rhea, described as small, segmented, ant-like in form, has discovered the Council's long-running Earth experiment. They are jealous of the Council's success and resent their methods. The Rhea's goal is to make a mess on Earth, cause chaos, and damage the experiment to embarrass the Council and exploit internal fissure within their collective. Due to their slower, island-hopping form of space travel, the Rhea expedition is expected to arrive on Earth in roughly 2 years from the time of the post was written, which the text places around 2027. The Council refuses to intervene directly, as it would blow the point of letting a young species find its own way. Instead, they made a compromise. They are quietly arming select human governments, US, China, Europe, Russia, Brazil, with highly advanced, incomprehensible, scalar phase weapons, so that humanity can defend itself and earn its place in the wider galactic community. The post concludes that humanity is expected to win this fight, but the real test is what kind of world we build after the threat is gone. You know, that kind of takes me back to Dan Farrar interview on JRE, where Dan says that insiders stated that this tech would not be pulled out even to save a war. It would be the very last thing, and that's kind of interesting.
Are these
Here's another thing someone that same person said to me, by the way.
Yes.
Before I forget, that their belief is that the technology we have would not be pulled out even to stop a world war. It would not; those cards would not be shown until moments before, like, a nuclear war situation.
But I think one thing that bothers me right away is that OP seems to have a large part of the story here. But let's move on to some parallels. The Rhea post describes their job as a small interagency working group looking at what was called anomalous aerospace and undersea systems. Translation: things detected and showing up on sensors that did not match any known platform. This strongly parallels the formation of the UAP Task Force and its successor, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. The official's mandate of AARO is to investigate unidentified aerial phenomenon across all domains, specifically looking at objects that do not appear to be human in origin. The term all-domain explicitly includes undersea, as mentioned by Rhea, and aerospace systems. Rhea describes their placement in the government as a compartment inside a compartment where the odd stuff of a certain nature got routed. The onion goes so deep, I doubt that even after years of briefings, I've been exposed to anything below a few layers. This directly echoes the central claims made by David Grush, the highest profile UAP whistleblower to date. Grush has repeatedly testified to Congress and in interviews that the non-human technology retrieval and reverse engineering program are managed under extreme deep special access programs that are shielded by extreme compartmentalization and are often unacknowledged, meaning they lack legal oversight. Rhea claims the famous crash retrievals were intentional. Most of those were not accident. They were tests and gifts. The Council, with 𝐸RD input, allowed certain craft and systems to fall into the human hands in a controlled way, enough intact technology that a very motivated and capable society would learn from it. While the gift motive is new, the claim that the U.S. government and others possess non-human craft is the main pillar of the current disclosure effort. David Grush has testified under oath that the U.S. has been retrieving and reverse engineering non-human craft since 1930s. The part of the gift is what Diana Pasulka talks about in her work and recently talked about by Dan Farrar on JRE, also mentioned by Lou Elizondo, claiming ships landing outside of bases with no one in them.
So how do these things keep crashing if they're so good? If they can get here from somewhere else, why do they slam into the desert?
Some of them have just been left in the desert.
Rhea states the aliens that look almost exactly human are just that. They are not hybrids, they are 𝐸RDs born around another star. You'll likely get a very careful worded announcement about contact with non-human intelligence and talk about our cousins among the stars. This theme of human-like or cousin species is less common in mainstream public discussion, but has appeared in other alleged insider accounts, suggesting a deeper knowledge of biology and history than mere little green men. This claim specifically addresses the NHI terminology now being used by U.S. government officials. linking it to a race that looks very much like us.
You are alleging that the US government has been concealing the existence on this planet of alien life.
I would couch it as non-human intelligence, NHI, like we would like to say in our language.
Why do you say that? Why do you say NHI?
I don't want to necessarily denote origin. I don't think we have all the data to say, oh, they're coming from a certain location, and I couch it as somebody who studied physics where maybe they're coming from a different physical dimension as described in quantum mechanics. We know there's extra dimensions due to high energy particle collisions, etc. And there's a theoretical framework to explain that. Yeah.
So this is the one thing we hear a lot about in abduction cases. Famously in Travis Walton case, he claimed while in a room that looked like a control room, two humans entered who didn't talk and made him feel more at ease. The OP also states one interesting thing, saying small, tough, very smart machines. Those probes come in, mostly targeting the ocean, and set up self-replicating facilities on the seafloor. This is what the 4chan whistleblower stated. I'm sure he may have known about that. Then he says, these biological or rather biomechanical avatars are what some people who claim to have been abducted have likely experienced. Though they do not have what we call ASI, these beings are not gods. They are technology, and they aren't perfect. They make mistakes, glitch out, etc. Another thing mentioned in a few abduction cases, one being the famous Pascagoula case where we hear about creatures that seemed robotic. Rhea describes the UAP technology, the warp bubble Alcubierre effect, was probably mastered by them before our solar system even existed. It's old tech for them, kind of like the wheel is for us. This reflects the official analysis of UAP performance shown in documented videos like the Tic Tac UAP. Officials have testified that these crafts demonstrate transmedium travel and capabilities, specifically hypersonic speeds, without a visible means of propulsion that defy the known laws of physics as practiced by current human technology. This idea of technology that is millions of years ahead of ours is used to explain the impossible physics observed on camera. A lot of the TMOs, that's transmedium objects, and impossible acceleration you have heard about, are just their hardware doing its job: maintenance, observation, sampling, nothing heroic. Another thing claimed by the 4chan whistleblower, he talked about how the UAPs are usually designed to spec for whatever mission they are on, and how he liked finding ones for research in biology because they would find things they never seen before. The Council is not a single species. It's a collective of several advanced interstellar, maybe interdimensional civilizations, and their technology relative to the ant species is like a modern carrier group versus skilled archers on sailboats. If the Council is this powerful and has been running a 2 billion year experiment here, their inability to simply stop the ant-like hostile species, Rhea, from destroying their project seems illogical and weak. They're paralyzed by an internal rule, the non-interference prime directive. But here's why it may be true. This humanizes the alleged non-human intelligence. It suggests that even hyper-advanced civilizations are bound by bureaucracy, internal political conflict, and philosophical laws, the rules preventing them from deploying their full overwhelming power. Rhea claims the core of the cover-up has never just been aliens or even their technologies. It has been the systemic implications, a group of humans living on another world who have no money, no private ownership. It sounded less like interesting anthropological data and more like a walking, talking advertisement for space communism. The idea that the most profound secret of the universe, the existence of intelligent life, was buried not because of fear of invasion, but because of fear of economic and political collapse, the collapse of capitalism, seems almost comically absurd. But here's why it may be true. This turns the entire cover-up narrative on its head and provides a social political motive. In the context of the 1940s and 1950s Cold War, any evidence that a non-scarcity, non-capitalist human society could thrive and leapfrog the West would have been the ultimate existential threat, arguably more dangerous than a bomb. Rhea claims most of those were not accidental. There were tests and gifts, enough intact technology that a very motivated, capable society could learn from it. This contradicts the common narrative of NHI craft accidentally crashing due to pilot error, weather, or human intervention. It suggests an NHI deliberately introduced the technology into the world's power block as part of a long-term manipulative strategy. Here's why it may be true. The fact that we have alleged retrieved multiple craft as per Grush and others that all appear to use similar impossible physics begs the question, how are they all crashing? And always in places where we can retrieve them? The gift or controlled drop hypothesis provides an answer that is internally logical for an experimental running civilization. Question of do aliens exist? Instead, we face a more terrifying possibility, the existence of humans 5,000 years ahead of us who evolved without scarcity. This redefines the Cold War cover-up, not as a fear of advanced tech, but a fear of advanced political science that could shatter our economic system. With the 2027 countdown and the training wheels superweapons, the ultimate risk is clearly from us, not them. The final question remains, if we survive this, will we abandon the structures of scarcity that define us, or will we just use our new sticks to keep fighting? The answers are far more unsettling than any crash saucer story. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is the space communism theory the most plausible reason for the cover-up, or is the whole thing pure fabrication? That's all I have for you today, guys. Keep asking the questions, stay curious, and keep the conversation alive. I'll see you on the next briefing.